Guys, I'm kind of doing a shake right now on my what ifs, but let's get into the video. So basically, this is what if Deku had the Omnitrix Part 5 rebooted. Now, last time I talked about, Bakugo getting the anti-tricks, and now in Deku beating his buttocks, and basically folding him like an omelet. Now, last time I talked about how Deku, got a lot more new powers and a lot more new aliens. Now, Deku, I did get a list. Now, Deku's going to have basically, by the time I reach part 6, Deku's going to have every alien that Ben had in the rebooted series. In my opinion, the reboot series is okay for children audiences, but if you actually, there for the hardcore action-packed scenes, I would suggest getting Omniverse or either watching Omniverse or the original Benton show. Benton Alien Force, it was okay. It was good, but I just didn't like the animation. I just think they made it way too serious. If you're the type of person that loves serious TV shows, good for you. I ain't playing on you, bro. Love what you wanna love, bro. But yeah, let's get into the video. So basically, Deku. Last time I said Deku won. The U.S. won the sports festival, and after the sports festival, I think it takes place when it. I think the sports festival takes place after the USJ, blah blah blah, and they're now they're studying for the new test, their test. So basically, they're training, and pretty much they get study buddies. Now Deku doesn't study. Um, Deku basically doesn't study, but they didn't study yet. They were talking about studying, but they also very excited for their sponsorships. Now, everybody was getting their sponsorships, and they're about to jump into their sponsorships. They're all pumped up and really excited, and pretty much they all got their sponsorships. Now Deku got a couple and a lot of good sponsorships. Now let me lay them out. Deku got a sponsorship. Deku got a sponsorship by a random hero company. Deku also got a sponsorship by a Bakugo actually got a lot more sponsorships this time because he showed that new power, the Antitrix. So basically, the same organization that hired Deku also tried to pick Bakugo. Pretty much Bakugo accepted, and Deku accepted too. Bakugo and Deku didn't know they were going to the same hero training or whatever, so they didn't know they were going to the same place. Pretty much Deku is going to that hero exhortation or I don't know, training, what was it, internship. Now Deku goes home, tells his parents, and pretty much Deku's dad is there that day. Deku's dad says, "I work here," and pretty much Deku's dad looks at his mom and says, "We had to tell him." So pretty much they tell Deku about his dad being alien enforcer, pretty much a plumber. He explains how aliens are real, blah blah, and how basically uh the universe as we know pretty much explained the whole entire Benton franchise in his point of view as the plumbers exist, blah blah blah. Deku gets the intel on how the Omnitrix was made by somebody called Galvin. Deku doesn't know yet that Galvin is a brain matter. They also Asmith. Sorry guys, Asmith. They don't know if Deku doesn't know he's a Galvin yet. Pretty much they explain to Deku that the Omnitrix is the most strongest, pretty much the strongest thing in the universe, and it's on your wrist, son. And pretty much Deku explains to them about Bakugo making his own Omnitrix. Deku's father says, "Yes, I hired him, and I also gave him the sponsorship." And he did, choose this sponsorship. Deku says, "What? I'm not going to the sponsorship then." Deku's father says, "You have to. You need to know more about the Omnitrix, and I could teach you about that. Here's a manual on how to use the Omnitrix the best you can." Deku gets the manual and is doped and psyched. Now, so after that, Deku goes to pretty much the organization and gets trained on how to use his physical powers. When he goes to Plumber headquarters, Deku meets new faces, and he meets the original Ben 10 franchise people. He meets Kevin 11, he's a plumber, Ben, he's a plumber, and in this universe, Deku's father says that Ben is your brother. Now, Deku's father did tell Deku that he had a brother, but he lived overseas. Deku never met his brother, not even on Christmas days, or not even on big events. But Deku finally met his real brother. Now, Deku basically trains with Ben, focusing on his physical status. Now, Ben actually has uh powers like wind, but with green energy, and also Ben has has the same amount of power that Gwen has, because this universe Gwen is direct brother siblings with Ben. Now, Deku is brothers with Ben, but Ben basically Deku doesn't share any anodite DNA in his bloodstream, because Deku's mother pretty much Deku's mother has a certain gene in her blood system that makes her, nullify um dynamite or whatever. It makes her nullify alien DNA in her children or in her. So pretty much Deku doesn't have an ounce of DNA in her. In him. Sorry guys, in him. So pretty much Deku pretty much takes out his Omnitrix and pretty much trains with Ben and how to use the Omnitrix and how to use all of his aliens the best way possible. Deku trains with all of his new aliens and also all of his old ones, finding out more, skills that he can do this with him. Now Deku gets, another trick that he can transform into aliens back and forth by tapping the Omnitrix. Deku finds out he can do that, and pretty much is dope that he can transform into alien now. Now Deku also gets 3 new aliens. Deku gets what was it called? It's a new alien. Deku gets I think it would be Deku gets. Sorry guys, let me look it up. Deku gets Buzz Shock. Deku also gets Big Chill, and also Deku gets pretty much all of no, Deku gets Deku already got Wrath. Deku gets I think I said Deku gets Shock Rock, Big Chill, and Deku also gets Energy. Now Deku also gets Upgrade. I mean Echo Echo. Deku already, I think I already gave Deku Ditto. Basically, Deku is psyched that he got all these new aliens because he tried new combinations in the Omnitrix. At the manual, Deku gave his son. I mean, Deku's father gave him. Now, Deku can transform to alien all the time he wants, but he still has a time limit of 10. Now, Deku basically, oh sorry guys, Deku basically get the Omnitrix out, and he gets ready and loaded. Now, Deku stumbles upon Bakugo, and pretty much they are forced to train and spar together. They spar, they do, they spar about 3 times. The first 2 matches are a tie. The second one, Deku wins because he goes, forearms and pretty much folds Bakugo because the Bakugo transformed into Upgrade. Pretty much, Deku wins the last fight. But yeah, so pretty much they train together, and over the past, days they train, Bakugo and Deku get understanding and actually become a little bit of, mutual friends. They become more, they become more nicer to each other. They rely on each other more because Bakugo doesn't have that much experience with with his Omnitrix, more than Deku has more, has more, basically, has more experience with the Omnitrix because he trained and he focused all of his attention on the Omnitrix. Now, Deku already has, that All Might training arc body, but he's just trained more, and he, when he gets more fighting styles and more, of a equipment. He gets more, Buff. I'm not even talking about buff. Deku gets more skilled in hand-to-hand combat. Bakugo also does. Bakugo also trains his quirk to become more stronger. And pretty much they, get a pretty good understanding. Now, they go on patrol. They go on patrol at the, basically, city. They go on patrol in the city, and basically, they stumble upon the city being attacked. The city's getting attacked by Vilgax. Basically, Vilgax, in this universe, basically made a deal with the League of Villains, and basically the League of Villains are making a whole entire, deal. All the League of Villains making a whole entire deal. They're making havoc across the city. No moves walking around. Also, Vilgax's little, robots. All sorts of robots are, walking around the city, blowing up stuff, pretty much making havoc. Deku and Bakugo run in. Bakugo transforms into Accelerate, speeds off, and Deku transforms into Heat Blast and fires off into the air, flying into the city. Deku's flying and flying and flying, and eventually he comes across a person in some sort of alleyway. Deku looks closer and he sees Ida. Deku flies down and shoots a fireball at the villain that was over Ida, and pretty much Deku grabs Ida and says, "Are you okay?" Ida says, "I'm paralyzed." Pretty much explain Stain's quirk and saying also that is my problem and you should just get out of here while you can. Deku says no. Pretty much Stain tries to cut Deku, but he's a fire person and also he has rock around him, so it's not gonna really work. Deku grabs Stain's knife and melts it in his hand and pretty much drop kicks Stain like about a couple feet away from him. Deku conjures up some fireballs and says, "Back up, Stain. Now, I know who you are." 10 minutes after that, they're fighting, going back and forth, and Deku, is starting to lose. Until Bakugo shows up in Accelerate form, looking around and seeing Deku being, absolutely whipped by, Stain. Bakugo transforms into, I don't know, Overflow, but, his version of Overflow. Pretty much shooting sewage at Stain. Deku sees this as an opportunity and throws a little bit of fire on Stain. Stain catch up in flames and falls and, gets knocked out. Deku looks around and pretty much, does, a hand clap with, no, does a high five with Bakugo. Bakugo says that's pretty good teamwork and pretty much helps up, Ida. They're walking out of the alleyway, and before they got out of the alleyway, Deku transformed into Diamond Head, made a whole entire diamond construct around Stain, keeping him into one spot. Deku transforms back into Heat Blast form, about to fire off, and, try to look around the rest of the city. But he gets stopped mid-flight by some sort of laser blast. Deku looks up, and he sees a whole entire fleet, like a whole entire, army of just literal Vilgax, robots. Okay, so basically, Bakugo lays down Ida and pretty much transforms into Dark Head or Diamond Head, whatever he calls it. Deku transforms into Fast Track and pretty much grabs Ida and says, "I'm gonna get him to the hospital. You hold them off." Pretty much, Bakugo says, "Okay, whatever, dude." Whatever, dude. And pretty much Deku runs off with Ida in his hands, going to the hospital. Deku drops off Ida and runs back into the city, seeing that Bakugo is getting, pretty much ganged up on by all these robots. Bakugo getting kicked left and right, and also getting laser blast in the face. Deku transforms back into Heat Blast and starts throwing fireballs and fire blast at robots. Deku tells, pretty much, tells Bakugo to, get out the way because I'm going to try a new trick that I don't know if it's going to kill you or not. Bakugo says, "What?" And pretty much, makes a diamond construct, blast him up into the air, making him get away as far as possible from Deku. Deku uses a new trick that he picked up, training with Heat Blast, pretty much making a huge amount of fire and flames, pretty much burning all the robots in a 10-mile radius, burning them into smithereens, also melting the concrete underneath him. Deku flies off up into the air, still smoking hot, burning through the roofs that he's walking on. pretty much Deku stops burning and pretty much tells, Bakugo that he can come back. Bakugo comes back and pretty much times out. Deku times out as well. And pretty much they start, talking about how, that was pretty cool. Bakugo says, teach me that, nerd. Pretty much Deku says, whatever. They hear a huge thump, and they look behind themselves, and they see Vilgax. Vilgax grabs Deku by the head, and pretty much chucks him off the building, making Deku fall into a dumpster, getting knocked out. Bakugo transforms into Diamond Head or Dark Head, whatever, and pretty much shoots a blast, at Vilgax. Vilgax slaps it away and grabs Bakugo's neck and pretty much says, "You will lose, and I'll be coming back. I don't have time for you, but I will take my Omnitrix back, eventually." And pretty much chucks Bakugo, like miles away, making him fall into an ocean. Pretty much after that, Vilgax teleports away, and pretty much Deku wakes up in the hospital. Deku has a broken arm, and Bakugo has a broken leg, and a broken hand. Pretty much Bakugo says, that was pretty weird. And pretty much the doctor says that Bakugo almost drowned, but he also landed on a couple of rocks in the ocean that he was thrown in, breaking his leg and his hand. Pretty much, his hand, that was, the part of his hand, the hand where his wrist was, where the Omnitrix, where Bakugo's Omnitrix was. Pretty much, Bakugo, gets told that, he's gonna have to be healing for a couple of days. Deku, you're gonna be healing for a couple of days. Basically, both of you be healing for the same amount of days, but Bakugo, you're gonna have a cast around your hand. So basically, they put a cast around his hand, but not around the Antitrix, pretty much making a hole where the Antitrix dialer is, so Bakugo can still use it. So basically, they go back to school after getting their cast set on them and getting healed. And pretty much, I'm going to leave it up here, guys. I hope this was good. And I'll be continuing this with another, part, what if. So I'll see you guys later. And as always, have a blessed day. And always, you can request for anything. See you guys later. Bye. Deuces!